So, one thing that I've realized about rejection is that rejection doesn't always mean something is outside of God's will. Sometimes God says no, and then sometimes God says not yet. And I think we have to be privy to just realizing when God is saying no and when God is saying not yet. Rejection doesn't always mean something is outside of God's will. It could be a test, a redirection, or even an opportunity for growth. I think there's been times in my life where I applied to a specific opportunity. It could have been a job, or it could have been an organization that I thought was a good organization to be a part of, and was met with a rejection. Whenever we have a rejection, the first thing is like, oh, like I'm not good enough, or oh, like how did they not pick me? You know what I mean? And we fail to realize in those moments that God is sometimes protecting us. Sometimes he's saying that he wants us to work on something first. He wants us to grow in an area first. Or he's really just saying, I have something better for you, my son. I have something better for you, my daughter. And there's been different times in the Bible where I saw rejection be a setup for something greater. So one example is Joseph, when he was rejected by his brothers and sold into slavery, but it positioned him to be a ruler in Egypt. Or even David, David was overlooked by his own family, but was still chosen by God to be king. And sometimes, like I said, rejection is just redirection, and we have to understand that and believe that in the moment, because persistence in faith is often required, right? The persistent widow in Luke, I think it was, where she kept knocking until she received justice. If you apply to something, if you try to go for something, it could be a relationship, an opportunity, an organization, a career move, whatever. If you apply to something and you get rejected and you still feel like you're supposed to be a part of it, or you still feel like something is wrong, like I would suggest that you pray and seek another opportunity, perhaps in a different role or at a later time, because I've been the one to believe that if something doesn't happen for me, then it's really just not God's will, and that's it. Sometimes that has been the mindset that I've taken, is like, if I applied and I was declined, then that was just something that God didn't want from me at all. But I did not consider the fact that God could just be saying not yet. And I've experienced this in my personal life too. Like I feel like there may have been people in my past that I was involved with that I just totally wrote off, and I just said, nope, one conversation, done. Like, I don't need to see anymore, I don't need to learn anymore. But maybe it could have been that person would have been a good person for me later down the road. I mean, I guess there's only one way to find out. But anyways, God's will requires discernment, not just circumstances. Proverbs 3 talks about to trust in the Lord and not just lean on your own understanding, right? In Romans, reminds us that all things work together for the good of those who love God, right? Just pray for wisdom. Ask God if whatever it is that we're going for really aligns with His will and His purpose for our life. And also, whenever we are facing rejection, consider, like, what is it that we should be learning from this? Like, what is there to learn from this experience? Like, maybe there's a new skill that you could brush up on so that when you try again, you'll be more equipped, you'll be ready. You know what I mean? Or maybe it's a personal refinement, something internally. Maybe it's an internal healing that is needed before you go for this specific person, or you go for this specific role or opportunity. All we can do is just keep moving forward in faith, knowing that God opens and closes doors for His glory and your good, ultimately. Like, God is not in the business of trying to hurt us, trick us, or deceive us, or confuse us, right? So just ask for His clarity, the clarity that only comes from Him. Instead of seeing rejection as an absolute no from God, see it as an invitation to seek Him more deeply about your next steps.